Welcome to Coastal Conversations, where we invite you to journey with us beyond the time constraints of Sunday morning. Whether you're a regular attender, a curious seeker, or someone just checking us out, we hope you find this podcast of value. So grab your headphones and let's get this conversation started. And welcome back to Coastal Conversations this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have had an incredible Sunday this past week. If you are listening or watching us in live time, you're catching this on the Wednesday after our big Sunday of One Day to Feed the World. It was phenomenal. We had so much energy in the room. Our outside venues were full. Bay Minette campus was full, and everybody was ready with their envelopes and their best gift to give to One Day to Feed the World. If you were here, if you weren't here, I would encourage you, go back on our YouTube channel and make sure that you catch that service, because I know you're going to want to listen to the sermon that our guest today delivered to us. It was so inspiring, so good. I took a page full of notes. I know you will too. So help me welcome to the conversation today, my friend, Brad Rosenberg. Hey, Brad.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much.
It's good to see you.
It's great to be here. The hospitality and kindness that you and Pastor Chad have shown is really, it was overwhelming. So sometimes it gets, you get tired on the road, and then there's weekends like this that fill your tank.
Oh, good.
And you and Pastor Chad and your staff and the church made me feel right at home, and I'm super grateful for that. Thank you so much.
We're really honored to have you here with us from Convoy of Hope, all the way out of Springfield, Missouri. Who knew?
Yes.
So you didn't start there out of ministry, right? So we met at Central Bible College.
Yes.
With Chad, and we had some other friends here today that went to Central Bible College. You got to reconnect with them. And then after Central Bible College, where did you go real quick?
Yeah, so Angie and I got married 2 weeks after graduation, and then we moved to Washington, D.C. We were in Alexandria, Virginia, about 15 minutes south of the White House, and did student ministries there. And between D.C. and Baltimore, that 60-mile window there, we did about 7 years of high school and college ministry and some worship leading in Baltimore. And so our first 7 years of ministry were in D.C. and Baltimore on the East Coast.
Wow. That's interesting. And then from there, you went to Cincinnati?
Right.
Wow.
So then we went to Cincinnati, where I was the executive pastor for a while under my dad, and then was voted in as the lead pastor after him, and spent 21 years in Cincinnati. So it was a church my dad planted. So he and I combined pastored that church for 59 years.
Wow.
So it was
Your dad is a legend. He's a legend. He is a world-class pastor. And I'm old school. So back for our college, do you remember we had to go to chapel every day?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so they have...
The chapel secretary did not care for me.
Did you use all your skips?
I think I may have exceeded what we were allowed.
Did you ever go and scan your badge and then leave and sneak?
That is under the blood now, but I'm sure
I
did that several times.
I know. I remember I was the RA and I would have to write girls up when they did that. It was the worst. I'm like, I'm the bad guy. I have to write people up. But I remember, so I'm old school enough that I don't know if you knew this, but Evangel University's website has an archive of old CBC sermons, chapel sermons.
Yeah.
And your dad is on there. And the other day I listened to some of his sermons from the CBC chapel, and they are phenomenal. They're so inspiring, so good. But I knew you were coming, so I was like, I'm going to listen to Brad's dad this week, because I like to listen to some of the old school people.
You're going to have to flip me that link.
I will. I'll send you some of them. And they're so good, so inspiring. So you come from a legacy of pastors. Yeah. So from pastoring in that community of Cincinnati, I bet it was a hard jump, or at least it probably took a minute or a God moment for you to move to Springfield, Missouri, and to work with Convoy of Hope. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to work with Convoy and why Convoy.
Man, I don't know how much time you have, but this story is pretty wild.
Okay.
So it'll be 6 years next month that my mom passed away from dementia and Alzheimer's. The brutal loss. Yeah. And anyone suffering dementia and Alzheimer's, it's the neurologist, her neurologist said to me, we call this disease the long goodbye. So that was a really painful loss. But the day after my mom died, my sisters said, you need to go down and check on Dad. And we had all been in her room the night that she passed before. And my dad was cleaning his home office, kind of like I kind of viewed it as like my wife was cleaning the house after she was going to the hospital to give birth. Like, she just wanted to keep herself, busy. And so I called him and he said, "You're not going to believe what I found." And I said, "What'd you find?" He said, "I was cleaning out my home office and I found the very first board minutes from Calcutta Mission of Mercy."
Wow.
And my dad was on the first board with Mark Buntain, his brother Fulton Buntain,
and Huldah,
Joe Featon, Jim Swanson, and my dad were the first 5 guys on the very first Calcutta Mission of Mercy board.
Wow.
And when my dad read it, I don't know who all's going to listen to this podcast. I hope I don't get in trouble for this.
You won't. You're fine.
We're
just a small publication.
But he said, Mark Buntain said in the board minutes that the only way we'll ever reach their hearts is through their bellies. Mm-hmm. And that many children can't hear the good news of the gospel over the groans of their stomachs.
Wow.
And so my dad was just devastated because at the time, I believe it was Brother Hogan was the head of missions department. And he told Mark and Huldah, "We don't do compassion," which I'm thankful that the AG have made it one of their pillars now.
Yeah.
But my dad flew home from Calcutta, flew to Springfield, met with Phil Hogan. Phil Hogan was not his boss because my dad wasn't a missionary. And my dad said, "I've just seen the children dying in the streets of Calcutta, and we're going to do this with or without you. If you say no, we'll go around you and we'll still raise the money. But we're not going to let any more kids die on the streets." And that's when Brother Hogan approved it, and it was the first sanctioned feeding program in the AG. Now, Lillian Trasher years ago had her feeding program in Egypt, but this was an actual feeding program that's still going on today. And so my dad was talking about that, and he went on to say that my mom's favorite place to go with my dad was to Calcutta and to love on the children. So fast forward the clock 30 days, is wild. So the end of October, at the time, I was the chairman of the board at Convoy of Hope, and they were doing some restructuring at Convoy, and Bob Cooley, who was the president of Gordon Conwell, was there as a consultant, and we're doing that and talking about some restructuring and things. Then a month later, November, at the end of November after Thanksgiving, the first week of December, I would always go to Thailand every year to Chiang Mai, where we had an orphanage and a feeding program that our church sponsored. And the kids knew I was coming, so they knew that when I came, I was going to be Santa Claus. They were going to have gifts. They're going to have good meals. And so I get off the bus to walk into the playground of the orphanage, and they knew I was coming. And I'm not much taller than most of them, so about 100 of them dogpiled me out in the playground, and they're cheering and screaming. And so then on December 12th, 2019, I fly home from Chiang Mai through China, which is wild because I could have been on the first flight from China to the United States with COVID.
Oh, gosh.
I never got it, but it was December of 19.
Wow.
And I've been to 76 countries in the world, so I know what you're not supposed to do. And I got home, and it was 1 in in Cincinnati, 1 in the morning in China, with a 12-hour switch. And so I knew I wasn't supposed to take a nap, but I was just wore out. So I told Angie, I'm going to go lay down and wake me up at 3 o'clock when the kids get home from school, because I hadn't seen them. And I never dream. I go to bed and I wake up and I go to bed within seconds. If I say goodnight to Angie, I put my head on the pillow and I'm gone.
Yeah.
This time I had the most vivid dream I've ever had. So I take this nap. I instantly go into this vivid dream. I know exactly where I am. I'm in El Salvador with Hal Donaldson, where we had gone 6 years before to the exact place. I knew the school we were at. I knew the children we were feeding. And there was a little boy with black hair parted on the side, no front teeth. I knew who he was because I had gotten a picture with him. His name was Camilo. Didn't speak a lick of English. Wow. But he walks up to me, and just like I did in real life 6 years earlier, I put a scoop of rice on his plate, and then Hal put a scoop of beans on his plate. And he stops and looks at me, and in perfect English, he says, "What took you so long?" And then I woke up. And I told Angie, I'm like, God's stirring something. Like, I've always had this missions call in my life, but I feel like he's pulling us away and I'm supposed to do something different. And I told her the whole dream and what the kid had said to me in the dream. And she said, while you were gone, a package came in the mail. And I said, well, I didn't order anything while I was gone. And she said, yeah, it's over there on the kitchen table. Now let's go back to September 26th after the day my mom died. And my dad's talking about Calcutta. You know this because you and Pastor Chad are so connected with that.
Chad's on the board now.
Right.
Yeah.
After Mark had died in 1989, they hired Dwayne Jones to go around and raise money to feed the kids in Calcutta. And Dwayne Jones, when he accepted that position, asked Huldah for a pair of Mark's wingtips. And he used to take them on the weekends with him, and he'd have them under the pulpit. And when he'd get done speaking his missions call, he'd pull the shoes up, set them on the pulpit, and say, Mark's gone now, but who's going to fill these shoes? And he'd use it as a missions call to bring kids to feel the call of God on their life to missions. So I knew Dwayne. Dwayne had been to our church, but at this time of the dream and when I came home from China, Dwayne had died about 3 years previous. So I opened this package on my kitchen table from Chickasaw, Oklahoma. And the only person I knew there was Dwayne and Jeannie. And Jeannie sent me a box with a pair of Dwayne shoes and a note that said, who's going to fill these shoes?
Wow.
And she knew that I had a heart to get on the road and tell the story for the oppressed, for the poor, for the needy.
Yeah.
And she knew that I had those callings on my life and called it out in me. And so after that dream and then getting shoes in the mail that were Dwayne's that says, who's going to fill these shoes? I told Angie, we've got to fast and pray. And I said, we need to go on a 21-day fast. But I wasn't that spiritual because it was like 12 days out from Christmas. So I'm like, we're going to do it on January 1st. I'm like, I'm not missing the Christmas dinner.
Yeah, we're going to wait a minute. Yeah.
So then we go on a 21-day fast in January. Then I'm supposed to speak at an event for Sam Johnson in Cancun. We took my dad with us because he had lost my mom just a few months earlier.
Right.
So I'm speaking at this event in Cancun, and that Sam Johnson asked me to speak at. When I get done, there were a bunch of pastors coming up to me saying, hey, would you come to a missions convention? I just need you to fan the flame of missions in our church. I'm still pastoring in Cincinnati, but my board was very kind to let me do that 6 or 7 times a year. My dad doesn't tell me this until months later, but while I'm coming off the stage and those pastors are asking me to do that, my dad said the Holy Spirit whispered in his ear, be prepared, Brad's not going to be around much longer.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. I found this out later. So this is now the end of January, beginning of February. I have to go back to Convoy of Hope because they're going to reveal to the staff there the changes that Bob Cooley had made and the structuring of them. Well, they had all the positions filled for the senior vice presidents except one, which was the feeding programs and raising money for international program. And Hal had never asked me to do this, but he said, when you come back out in February, bring Angie with you. So we're at dinner. We're at Longhorn in Springfield. And after dinner, we just have discussion. And Hal goes, hey, I know you've been with your dad all these years. You two have been the only pastors there in 59 years. But he said, I'd like for you to really pray about coming and helping us raise money for the international program, feeding kids around the world.
Funny, you should say that.
And Angie, like any good wife, she grabs my thigh under the table and squeezes it like, this is what God has been preparing us for since your mom died in September. And so I told Hal, I said, I know I'm supposed to do this. I've been feeling this for 6 months, but I can't do this without my dad's blessing. It will devastate him. He's lost my mom. He planted this church. It's been his legacy. Yeah. And so I go back home to Cincinnati on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And Angie says, you're going to have to go tell him by yourself. I can't sit there in front of that. That's just too hard. Yeah. So he's sitting in his recliner. I sit in the love seat next to him, and I'm sobbing. And I'm saying, I don't want to do this. I know God's asking me to do this. I don't want to leave you. I know you've lost mom. I still love pastoring, but God's asking me to do this. And I said, but Dad, I won't do this without your blessing. I won't. And I know that sounds terrible. And to the listeners, I'm sorry that my faith was weak or being disobedient. And that's when my dad said, when you were speaking in Mexico in January, the Holy Spirit said, be prepared. Brad's not going to be around much longer.
Mm.
And he's sobbing. And he says, although it crushes my heart to see you go, you have my total blessing.
Wow.
And that's when Angie and I knew we were to leave everything we've ever known.
Yeah.
We were both born and raised in Cincinnati. We had almost 50 years there.
Gosh.
But I feel like the first 50 years of my life were preparation for me to do what I was born to do.
Wow.
And that how God wired me and what I was passionate about met at the intersection of Convoy of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like some people never find that.
Yeah.
But I feel like what
That's
God
right.
put me on the planet to do took 50 years of preparation, and now I get to do what I was born to do.
That's so good, Brad. We say it often here on our podcast when we hear people's stories. The steps of the righteous are order of the Lord, and he delights in our way.
Yeah.
And he prepares us. And many times we think about it when we were in Bible college, they would say, have a 5-year plan, have a 10-year plan. I laugh at that now because I'm like, there's no way in God's economy we can have a 5 and a 10-year plan, because the steps he gives us, Bible says he's a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. He gives us just enough to see the next step.
That's exactly right.
Just so, because he doesn't work like that. He works in the steps. And I love all the steps that he prepared your heart for and your dad's heart for. And it was so honoring. And God, that's just a great story. And it's clear from today's message and what you're doing at Convoy that God is honoring all of that and anointing you to do what you do now. It's incredible.
Oh, that's so
awesome.
sweet. So kind.
It's very good.
I feel like Angie and I kind of felt like it had to be miraculous for us to leave everything we've ever known.
So good. Well, what at Convoy is exciting you that you see on the horizon?
Here's what's super exciting, and it will be rolling out and unveiled in the next coming months. But we are building a manufacturing and packaging plant at Convoy facility.
Wow.
Where we will, when 6 lines are up and running in 2 shifts at its maximum capacity, we will be able to produce over 500 million meals a year from Convoy in Springfield. Now, here's some of the other cool stuff with that.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Here's some of the other cool stuff. Because we will have the commodities and create it, and it's very automated with robots, what usually would take a lot of employees is going to take 1.5 employees per line to be able to do that. And we will be able to customize the mixture so that the taste palette of what a child would want in Africa could be on line 1. The taste palette of what a child would like in the Philippines could be on line 2. What kids would like to taste in Central America and South America could be on line 3. So, and we can
sign
control.
me up for the Mexican line. I need some queso on mine.
And it's wild because, and we'll be able to, monitor the salt, the sodium, so that it's healthier. Have we're right now in the exploration stage of a tasteless vitamin powder to make sure they have the nutrients and proteins they need.
Yeah.
Sometimes that makes something taste different.
Yeah.
And so we're actually talking with some companies right now about some tasteless proteins and vitamins that will help with the nutrition mix to make sure the kids are getting exactly what they need.
That's exciting.
It
so
really
cool.
is. Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, what do you see at Convoy that we can be praying for? So some of these things and then giving towards, like we gave today to one day, what can we be praying specifically for? Is there anything that our church can be praying for, you guys?
Yeah, we believe that God has asked us to feed 1 million children a day by 2030.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw today, we're at 639,000 at 2025. So we're ahead of the 5-year number.
Yeah.
But this manufacturing and packing facility is going to help us get there.
Okay.
So pray that the automation works right, that the machines are in time, that they're installed as quickly as we can get them, because this is going to bridge the gap to help us reach that goal. That's a big, big thing. That will be a game changer for Convoy. It'll not only produce international meals, but we will have domestic as well to be able to feed a family of 5 here in the U.S.
That's just incredible.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, as we close out today, we want to thank you for your time. We always like to end with this fun last question. What is one of your favorite things that you think need to be our favorite thing? Now, this can be a book, a restaurant, a podcast, a hobby, anything that it's your current favorite thing. You think it needs to be our favorite thing.
That's wild.
Do you want me to tell you what Chad brought the last time, just last week? Or what was he on? Sean, was he on last week? A Fiber One bar. I'm like, a chocolate Fiber One bar. I'm like, what are we?
This podcast is brought to you by Metamucil.
Exactly. We're there in that stage of our lives. And I'm like, you talked about Fiber One on the podcast. But anyway, it was a thing.
All right,
so what's your favorite thing?
This is what I would. It started out as my favorite thing when my boys were little. It's still my favorite thing.
Okay.
When they're in their 20s. So I would every day when I was home, either in the morning or evening, I would toss baseball with my boys.
Okay.
And let me tell you why that's so important.
That's cool.
They can't hold a cell phone and toss baseball.
That's good.
They can't be preoccupied with anything else but watching a ball coming towards them and them throwing it at the target that you need them to throw.
That's good.
And we've had so many meaningful conversations over tossing baseball in the front yard or the backyard. And or pull your kids out of the house. If you're a parent of young children, start this discipline of tossing baseball with them. My daughter would do it too.
Cool.
And some of our greatest conversations came out of that, where there were no other distractions. They had my undivided attention. I had their undivided attention. And we talked about things that were very meaningful. I would ask them, what was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day?
Yeah.
Is there anything you're worried about that I can pray with you about? Because if we can remove their worries, they'll sleep better. They'll have more peace in their life.
Good.
And so all of that happened through a calculated decision to toss baseball whenever I was around with my kids.
And that's still your favorite thing.
In my mid-50s, I'll go. If I was home tonight, I'd toss baseball with them in the front yard.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for being on the podcast today. We got to get to lunch.
Let's do it.
Y'all are going to get some cravers today. It's going to become your new favorite thing. Fried everything.
Jennifer,
can you fry it? Yeah. Cravers.
Thank you for everything you guys have.
Thank you.
Overwhelmed us with your hospitality.
Well, we are
5-star.
honored to have you guys here in the Deep South.
Love
you
this
finally
church.
made
Love
it.
you guys.
Thanks for being here. And thanks for tuning in to this week's Coastal Conversations podcast. Be sure, if this conversation inspired you, make sure you to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And make sure that you come and see us on this coming Sunday. We can't wait to be with you, Coastal. We love you. See you this Sunday. Thank you for listening to this week's Coastal Conversations podcast. All of today's references will be found in the show notes. Also, if you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. We'll see you at Coastal this Sunday as we pick the conversation up from here.